The consolidation wars continue with PlayStation and Bungie. We know who's on the cover of MLB The Show 22 and where we'll be able to play it. And I've got some thoughts on Pokémon Legends Arceus. All that and the latest and everything cool today in The Rundown. Hey, welcome to The Rundown. My name is Victor Lucas, and I am so happy to see you here on the Electric Playground with me. Thank you for joining me, and thank you also to our sponsor, the Gaming Stadium. They are Canada's leader in online esports tournament facilitation. They've got tournaments happening every single weekend, and you can find out all about them at tgs.gg. They've also just launched a brand new platform called Pepper, and you can find out about Pepper at pepper.gg. This is for those of you that like to create your own tournaments and set prize pools and get the bragging rights and all that stuff. It's free, and it's a very exciting new platform, a new opportunity for competitive players out there. So go check it out at pepper.gg. Of course, we've also got a dedication for today's episode, and this one's going out to Jared Favell, who said, currently playing through Arkham Knight again to get the new Game Plus achievement, and it's hyping me up for Gotham Knights. On Friday, Jose Sanchez and I got together and we talked a little bit about Warner Brothers' potentially massive year with Gotham Knights at the top of his most excited for list and mine as well. Can't wait for that freaking game. It's going to be a lot of fun to play, and all signs are good that we are getting it this year. We're also getting a lot of acquisitions this year, and here's the latest one to talk about. Yesterday, the news dropped like an atom bomb that PlayStation is picking up Bungie and acquiring them and bringing them into the PlayStation Studios fold. It was a massive announcement, took the entire video game industry by storm. We were all talking about it and chatting about it over Twitter, and of course this is a massive deal worth $3.6 billion. Sony outlined a whole bunch of stuff on their PlayStation blog and talked a little bit about the deal. They also, reached out to Pete Parsons at Bungie, and Herman Holst, who is the head of PlayStation Studios, had something pretty cool to say. Bungie makes games with outstanding technology that are enormously fun to play. They also have unmatched dedication to the communities that play their games, and everyone at PlayStation and PlayStation Studios will be excited about what we can share and learn from them. And I think that is the operative phrase right there, what they can learn from Bungie. And I think the reason why is, of course, they've got Destiny and Destiny 2, and, these are massive franchises that are just going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Theoretically, they could be morphed out and made into television series and movies, because Sony's wanting to do that right now. But I think what's a bigger deal here is that Sony is picking up a developer turned publisher that has all kinds of experience bringing their games to multiple platforms, including Stadia, which we can't really just pack away and not think about, because all of the work that they did to bring Destiny 2 to Stadia was incredibly important. Streaming is going to be a much bigger part of the future of video games, and Sony's got a streaming platform with PlayStation Now, but it leaves a lot to be desired, and Stadia is working on new technology and all that stuff. And it's not necessarily the Stadia backend that is a big part of the deal. It's the learning that went into, basically playing with the laws of physics and making it feel like we were playing Destiny 2 over Stadia, and it felt similar, maybe not quite as good, to the experiences that we might have on a PlayStation or Xbox platform, which was incredibly challenging for any team to do, but Bungie kind of did a great job at it. I mean, if you guys can remember, the launch of Stadia was really tied to the announcement that Destiny 2 was going to be there, and it worked quite well, and we were all quite shocked when we first booted it up. It's like, yeah, we're playing Destiny 2, we're streaming it, we don't have anything installed, and here we are, we're playing it. And I think that's a factor in this whole discussion. Certainly, they want to tap into the experience, and I think there's like 800 people in this massive studio that Bungie has just grown into. They've got new IP. They want to tap into whatever's coming down the pipeline, but they want to figure out, they want to learn from them in terms of, bringing their products to different platforms. And the other key thing, which I think is a really important part of the future for any game studio, any content maker now, because I'm bringing up the metaverse again. I should have like a metaverse alert. Whoop, whoop, whoop. But everybody is working really hard right now to kind of create environments around their intellectual properties and around their IP. And that's going to be movie studios like Disney and Warner Brothers. That's going to be game studios and comic makers and music publishers and book publishers. Once we, make these initial early steps into the metaverse, we're going to see that video games are going to be the conduit to all of this experience, the UI that we know from video games. And Bungie has that experience, but they also have lots and lots of subscribers to their products, to their games. And I think that's the other really important part of this equation. I've had a couple of friends text me and ask me, do I think that it's worth $3.6 billion? And I think if you just look at it on the surface of purchasing Destiny, it's not. But I think if you're thinking about all of the learning that's gone into this, all of the subscription kind of connection and the pull, people that have been spending on all kinds of in-game purchases, and basically that community building that Bungie has just been amazing at over the last several years. I think that is a very, very key thing. Now, Sony is going to own that subscriber base, that sort of regular gamer pool of people that are there all the time. And that's a really attractive number, of consumers that they are instantly brought into the PlayStation space, whatever that might be. Now, Pete Parsons, who is the CEO of Bungie, also had something pretty cool to say here. Says, more than anything, Sony understands that our people and our community are both the priority and the heart of our success, and are willing to stand alongside us as we continue to use our platform to drive action towards a more welcoming and equitable world. Our goal is to build a place where the world's most creative and talented people can come and do their best work, no matter who they are, where they are from, or how they identify. And I think if you look at the puzzle pieces that are happening right now across the industry, but you can look specifically at Sony. They've got Uncharted as a movie coming out, in a few weeks. They've got the Last of Us television show on HBO. They've got these very cinematic gaming properties. They've got the film rights to Spider-Man. There's crossover all over the place. I saw on YouTube today Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg talking about the Legacy of Thieves collection is out now for PlayStation 5. And I think that's what Sony is kind of tying up here, because they want to have this Sony space where people may be subscribing to content, but they're going to be able to access a lot more than we kind of currently understand, and in a lot more places. And it's going to take technology acquisitions, like some of the learning that Bungie has already developed, to kind of get Sony into that place. And also, it's pretty perfect timing. They've got the latest content additions to Destiny 2 coming out next month, and it looks incredible. The Witch Queen, and so players are very happy with this franchise. They're very happy with the way that Bungie kind of reacts to their player base. They're celebrating 30 years over at Bungie, and man, they have learned a ton of stuff over this time frame. And the other thing is that this is a live service experience in a very, specific genre that Sony doesn't really have right now, and I know that they're looking at that space and trying to figure out, I've got sun right on it's like I'm trying to hide from the sun. But they're looking at that space right now, and they're trying to figure out the best way to, bring products out like that are going to keep people happy. But they're just going to dip into all of this education and sharing of ideas and philosophies and multi-platform support, which is also, I think, going to be a big part of Sony's future. In fact, it's going to be a big part of Sony's spring. Let's talk about the other big announcement that happened from PlayStation. Also yesterday, we found out that the new cover athlete for MLB The Show 22 is going to be Shohei Ohtani, who's just come off a fantastic season. I'm told, I don't really follow baseball, but I sure love playing the MLB The Show franchise. And one of the big things about this game is that last year we got it on the Xbox Series platforms and as part of Game Pass. And they announced with the big cover athlete video yesterday that this is, a pretty big announcement, but what's even a bigger announcement attached to this game is the fact that it is now going to not only come out for the Xbox platform, but also the Nintendo Switch. And Sony celebrated with video content, but they also they had their own sort of live stream counting down to the reveal. And then they also talked a little bit about the fact that it's coming out to all of these platforms, and it's going to be cross-play compatible, and you're also going to be able to pick up wherever you are in the game on whatever platform that you want to. So if you pick it up on Xbox, you can, and you also have it on Switch, you can continue your games, your seasons and stuff like that there, which is pretty freaking cool. They had a big Times Square reveal, which is pretty amazing, and it was impressive to see that they have the PlayStation 5 boxes, they have the Xbox boxes, and yes, this game is coming to the Nintendo Switch. So it's kind of crazy that we're going to see the Nintendo Switch logo, the PlayStation Studios logo, and then the Sony San Diego Studios logo, talking about this brand new game coming out this year. Now, clearly this is also done through partnership with MLB, and MLB wants as many players out there as possible to dive into this wonderful sports game that Sony's been making for years and years. And so last year was a big announcement that it was going to be on Game Pass, and then after the announcement of the cover athlete, Xbox cheekily tweeted that they're excited to break this thing out again. It's the foam finger, and it's also going to be on Game Pass again this year, which I keep saying that when we have $70 games on a competing platform and it's day and date on Game Pass, is there a better commercial, a better way to highlight the value of Game Pass than that? But it is exciting, and it speaks to this crazy future of both consolidation that's happening with the acquisitions that Xbox is doing with Activision and Blizzard, which is going to the FTC right now, and regulations and regulators are probably going to look at the Bungie stuff as well. And conceivably, both of these massive acquisitions are going to help each other, but we're seeing this consolidation happen, and massive companies, conglomerates, putting their flag in the ground and saying, we want this content creator. But the other thing that we're seeing is everybody playing nice and everybody working their butts off to get their products onto lots of what traditionally would have been the console war, and everybody would have been fighting. But now it's looking like everybody's going to be getting along, and people are going to be able to play games like MLB The Show on competing platforms. It's crazy. I mean, this is big news. I'm excited to check this out on the Switch. I've been a fan of this game series the whole way along. Sony San Diego is no slouch. But this really speaks to this idea that they've got to learn how to develop for all of these different platforms, because conceivably they have just been a studio, and all of PlayStation studios have just been focused on whatever Sony has been making, and it's a whole new world. Not only is Sony pushing more content out on the PC, which they're going to learn quite a bit from Bungie as well, but they are now publishing on other machines. It's insane. I mean, there's an inevitability to this type of news, but it still is a weird thing. Just like it is a weird thing to talk about these huge acquisitions, to see these things sort of happening in real time like this is quite surprising. And that's one of the things that I've always loved about the video game industry. It's never not changing. It's never not exciting, because every day the technological innovations and improvements and access points and the passion for the passion of fans out there radically shifts and changes this medium, and it's always exciting to cover and talk about. And you know what? That's also true about the new Pokemon. Pokémon Legends Arceus was released last Friday. I got my review code from Nintendo Canada. Thank you very much for that. And I played it over the weekend. I played a lot of it. I played so much of it, I was starting to get a bit of a headache, not because of the game, but because I was just staring at the screen for hours and hours and hours of this game. It's a whole new way to play. And even though there's some familiar elements in there, like catching the Pokemon and using the Pokeball, getting sent out on fetch quest side missions and things like that, everything has been very much shifted over to kind of exploring a massive world. Now, it's not open world like The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, where the environment just stretches on forever. You kind of have a hub space in this little town, Jubilife, I think is the name of the little city, and there are a bunch of inhabitants there and city leaders that entreat you as this character that has fallen from the sky to become, part of the survey squad, and you have to go out and capture all kinds of Pokemon. And you can do the capturing in a very different way this time. You can actually capture Pokemon on the run. You can throw out the Pokeball and pick them up in real time. You can sneak up to them and just throw the Pokeball at them. You can stun them. You can send out your Pokemon that you have in your collection and get into battles and stuff like that. But I really love this new mechanic of just being able to, encounter these different creatures and pick them up quickly and just continue on your survey. There's more than 200 different Pokemon that you have to collect in this game, and of course they evolve in the game as well. You're also going to be encountering alpha versions of these things, these characters that have red eyes and have been a little bit they're a little feverish. And then you're also going to encounter noble Pokemon, which are kind of like giant boss fights that you're going to get into. And it's an interesting fusion of some of the turn-based strategy that we've seen in previous Pokemon games. It doesn't completely just abandon all of the stuff that's come before, but it is a revolutionary way to approach the style of playing a Pokemon experience. And that's what I applaud this game for. It does feel very different from previous Pokemon games, and it also, I think importantly, feels very different from the other Pokemon games that are on the Switch as well. This is a game that kind of exists on its own, and it's obviously influenced by the Breath of the Wild and some of the more open world experiences out there, but it's not perfect. I think one of the things about this title that kind of set me back is it really is absent voice acting. Like, you really miss it. There's so many moments where you're just seeing characters stand around in kind of static animations, and they're just throwing text bubbles at each other, and it just goes on and on and on. And I really didn't groove on the story because of that. I think of things like Tales of Arise or Scarlet Nexus, a couple of fantastic RPGs from Bandai Namco last year, where there's a tremendous amount of voice work and really fantastic acting. There's so many games that we can point to at this time now, and the Pokemon games have made so much money, and it's a dependable franchise that's always fun. The core mechanic of catching the Pokemon is always really cool, and I think this may be the most fun because it's a blend of the real-time elements of just being able to throw the ball out, and you don't always get them, and of course you've got different Pokeballs for different characters. Some might be flying and some might be heavier, but you can have fun just running around catching the Pokemon, and that action is cool. But then you also get into the battles and all that stuff, and that's proven. Catching them all is really fun and really addictive, and you want to fill up the Pokedex. And the way that they've got the Pokedex, because this is set in the past, is it's all on paper, and of course there's a great deal of customization for your character and stuff like that. Although my daughter was saying she wanted more, and she felt that the customization came a little bit quicker, and it was a little bit cooler in Pokemon Sword and Shield, and she loves that kind of stuff. So point taken, Ruby. Very good point. But this is a game that kind of pushes forward, and you think it's going to deliver, storytelling that's really going to get in your soul and you're really going to care about them. It's not that it's not interesting, it's just the way that it's told. And I just really felt like voice acting would have been a much better thing, and also having the characters do more than just sort of surprise our protagonist. There were just so many sequences in the game where we'd be in a cutscene reading lots of dialogue, and then another character would come in and they just have a question mark over their name, and it'd be like, and I'm so and so, and I do this, and I just felt like there was that beat over and over and over again. And I just wanted to click through a lot of the dialogue string and just get right back into exploring, and hopping onto the different Pokemon creatures that you can ride in the game, which are really cool. They have different abilities, and just sort of seeing the world. And now I will say that the world isn't as beautiful as I want it to be. It's not as elegant to explore it. You can see me kind of stumbling and bumbling trying to get up the hills and stuff like that. It's not Breath of the Wild, and that's the thing that you cannot help yourself comparing this to. Although, because of all the hundreds of Pokemon that you have to collect and their different interactions and their different personalities and the Pokedex that you have to fill up, it isn't just like you catch them and all of their detail, you catch one and all of their details are in there. You actually have to catch multiple. There are lots of requirements that you have to meet as you're filling up the Pokedex to get the research points, to level up, to give you merit points and access to tougher and tougher beasts that you're going to encounter. And so you have to replicate a lot of capturing these characters and do them under specific conditions, different times of day. There's different weather patterns and things like that as well. There is a tremendous amount of stuff in this game. It's not for want of cool ideas or interesting settings. Even though it's not open world, the environments that you do cruise around in are incredibly vast, and there's a lot to see and a lot to explore. But it's not as interesting as the world of Breath of the Wild, and there aren't the dungeons and quite as many cool secrets and things like that. It's really just about ushering you towards your next Pokemon confrontation. This is an incredible step forward for Pokemon, or it's an incredible step in a new direction. I'm not going to say that this is the only way to make Pokemon games, because I really enjoyed Shining Pearl, the DS remake that I played on the Switch recently, and my daughter and I loved Pokemon Shield. We had a total, and Let's Go was really fun as well. So I think what Game Freak and Nintendo have kind of carved out for themselves is a new, direction for Pokemon to continue to explore. And, conceivably, subsequent games in this kind of style will become more interesting, more varied. They'll likely have more production polish. And it's not like this is ugly. It's just that we have seen better looking open world experiences on the Switch, definitely on other platforms as well. But I still applaud Game Freak, because I think this is probably the most technologically advanced and robust Pokemon experience that they have ever crafted. There are a lot of interesting, intricate systems at play here, and that compulsion to keep playing and to keep exploring and keep collecting never really disappears. I think it's a really, really fun game, and it's a great addition to any role-playing game fanatics library or Pokemon fanatics library, especially because there's so many interesting twists. The whole idea of being a character out of time and going back in time and sort of exploring Pokemon from a different era, knowing some of where Pokemon goes in the future is just a great idea. So I don't love it, but I certainly do appreciate this game. I don't think it's a masterpiece, but I think it's really, really fun. And I don't know if I like it more than the other Pokemon games that I played on the Switch so far. So it's very interesting, because it feels so special and unique, but I don't know if it's better, So my thought on it right now, and I've still got more to play and more to kind of experience, even though I've put tons of time into it. It's a massive game, and there's a lot more to do. But what I played so far, I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. I've got a couple more things to talk to you guys about. The folks over at Paramount Plus dropped the Halo television series trailer the other day, and this looks pretty damn cool. I mean, there are definitely elements of fan fiction to the way that they're putting this together, but it looks better than what the best creators on YouTube could probably do with a little bit of a budget or whatever, which doesn't sound like high praise, but it does look interesting. I think the The visual effects look pretty solid. The production design looked pretty damn solid. I like that we're getting Covenant in there. We're getting other alien, mysteries and civilizations in there. It looks like it's going to be fun to explore, and there is going to be a tremendous amount of fan service back to the games in this show. But I think what's really central to this thing being successful is we need to know who Master Chief is. This has got to feel like a TV show that stands on its own merits. It can't be a fan film. It can't just be, a guy looking cool in the suit and the Cortana interactions. That Cortana stuff doesn't look that incredible to me. But if they can deliver characters that we care about, particularly the Master Chief, if we really get to know, which I know breaks the mystery of the games and sort of deviates from how much we don't know about Master Chief when we play the games. But it's a different medium, and so it needs to exist as a cool TV show, and there are lots of great sci-fi series that we can point to, Battlestar Galactica and The Expanse and stuff. Like, this is coming out, and the Foundation show on Apple TV Plus, this is coming out, post all of these other great examples. And so Halo, with all of the hype and all of the history and all of the expectation that we all have, it also has to be an excellent TV show. So fingers crossed on that one. I know it's a huge deal for Paramount Plus, and this is a filmed universe that has been long in gestation, and I just hope it works. But I do have one last thing to show you and talk about, and this is a game called Circuit Superstars, which is a made in Vancouver game, which has been out on the PC for a little while. It's been winning some acclaim and accolades, and now it has hit the consoles. I have not played it. I think I had the team in to talk about this. I'm pretty sure I did back when we were doing EP Live out of the Vancouver Film School, maybe back in 2019. And this was, kind of a dream back then. But the buzz is very, very strong on this. It looks super cool. So I definitely am going to download this on one of the machines that will play it, and I'll come back and stream some of it. But it's out there right now. If you're a fan of top-down racers, especially racing games that look like as hyper detailed with as much complexity as this, you should check out Circuit Superstars. All right, you guys, that's going to do it for the rundown today. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for following us on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/EPN, where you can actually watch the rundown live. If you ever want to come and join the community there, we have the best chat on the internet, I promise. And thank you for watching on our YouTube channel. If you watch us on Twitch, it's youtube.com/EPNTV. Thank you all for your support. We'll see you soon. And until then, play forever.